All right, full review of the latest Imaginary Authors fragrance, In Love with Everything. Hey everyone, I'm Dave with Fragrance Bros, of course your best source for everything fragrance related. Now, I think many of you know that I really love Imaginary Authors, big fan of them. I have several fragrances in my collection that are from Imaginary Authors. I think they just have a great point of view. They have a really cool line, really great wearable fragrances that are also unique. And I've mentioned this before, but I think it's really hard to strike the balance that they have with creativity, something that is interesting, and also something that is wearable. Sometimes those don't coincide, but Imaginary Authors always seems to nail that. So I really appreciate that with this line. Also, some of you might not know this, but I'm a book nerd. I love reading, and the fact that their bottles and their boxes even are fashioned after books and Imaginary Authors, of course, is something that I just like just by the concept. I think that's really cool. Now, I remember a few years ago reading a comment from a friend, I think it was on Facebook, and they mentioned just in an offhanded, funny way that people usually fall into one of two camps. Either they go into the old man fragrance or they go into the feminine fragrance world. I thought that was very funny because on one hand, it is kind of true. A lot of people either go really old school masculine or they go kind of just feminine. Of course, not everyone, which is why it was funny. But what I think is interesting about this is a feminine fragrance. At least it's marketed towards ladies. It seems like that anyway. But I think this could be worn by guys out there. Now, notes in this are raspberry, citrus pulp, coconut palm sugar, Madame Isaac Pereire, sandalwood, tropical punch, and stardust. Now, of course, in every fragrance that they have these kind of imaginary notes that aren't realistic. So, of course, Madame Pereire and stardust are some of those. But I think this is a really good interpretation of what these notes are here. It is very citrusy and fruity. I think if you like fruit punch, or if you like maybe like tropical fruit salad, that type of thing, that I think you'll really like this. Right off the top, you get raspberry, you get citrus, you get the kind of sugary quality that it's talking about, and you get a lot of sandalwood. Sandalwood to me is one of the foremost notes in this. So because of that, I think it kind of grounds the fragrance a little bit in more of a unisex way. So you really get a lot of the notes that are listed in this, at least the realistic notes in here. As the fragrance progresses, it kind of stays kind of linear throughout until the very end when you kind of get more sandalwood more than anything. And I don't mind that. I think it's really nice the way it progresses until the very end. I like it. I also love the kind of theme that they have here. It's very 80s, very neon, and in a way, I think that kind of reflects what feeling I get out of this fragrance. It's a very hyper sweet, hyper realistic, super saturated type of scent. I think having neon and the color here is a really great kind of cue to how this smells. Now, performance on this was massive. I mean, it is massive projection on me. I mean, absolutely massive. One spray on this was, for me, almost too much. Now, of course, your mileage may vary, but I sprayed it one time and I was like, okay, I'm done. Longevity on it, of course, with me, I think was also really good. I think up to like the 10-hour, maybe even farther than that range. I mean, maybe even in the Beastly range. It lasts a long time. And I think that's mostly due to the heavy concentration of sandalwood in this. Now, this is very feminine, I think. It does really remind me of a kind of feminine style fragrance. And what's so interesting about this is that it's really sweet, but it doesn't really go into the overly sweet camp. It doesn't really go young, and it doesn't really go old. So it has a great balance of almost everything. Typically, scents that are like this, that are fruity, that are sugary even, that are very sweet, skew young. This doesn't. And though it has kind of a retro vibe with the art here, it doesn't skew old either. It's unlike anything I've smelled on the market today, and that's what I really love about it. I don't really fall into the camp of wearing feminine fragrances. Nothing really wrong with that. To each his own. Some people like really rosy fragrances. That's totally cool. I don't. I typically fall into the old man camp. Well, there's a bee. Golly. There's always something. Have to watch out for that bee. But all that said, I just really love this scent. I think it's so cool, so hip. Smells fantastic. And Imaginary Authors doesn't make a lot of fragrances that are strictly feminine. They have some in their line, but I think most of their fragrances are pretty unisex. And this is one of those exceptions that is more on the feminine range. And I'm not giving it away. I'm not selling it. I'm keeping it because I really think it's just beautiful. Imaginary Authors has done it again. And I think this is just fantastic. Definitely check out In Love with Everything because I think you will also be in love with everything about this scent. With that, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Fragrance X. Fragrance X is an online reseller that sells thousands of legitimate products for a discounted cost. If you're considering buying a fragrance, definitely check out Fragrance X. I'll have a link down below to them as well as a coupon. But also check out Rakuten.com. Rakuten.com is a website that offers you a rebate with every purchase that you make through their website. They actually have a deal with Fragrance X that offers you a certain percentage in rebates just by buying through Rakuten. So I'll have a link down below to them as well. Definitely check out Fragrance X and Rakuten together. Great. What do you think, though? I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know down in the comments, of course. But that's all I have. Thank you again for watching. I'm Dave with the Fragrance Bros. Bye.